Hello, and welcome to the third in our series of discussions with members of Vistage Group 1433 here in the greater Boston area. I'm Craig James, the chair of the group. Vistage is a worldwide professional development organization. They provide programs comprising confidential facilitator-led peer advisory groups, individual coaching, expert speakers, and a worldwide community of over 40,000 CEO, C-suite, middle manager, and professional advisor members across 40 countries. And while members join for a variety of reasons, all have at least three in common: to make better decisions, to become better leaders, and to get dramatically better results, both for themselves and, in the case of our professional advisor members, for their clients. With us today is James Brooks. James is the founder of Robust Flow Operations. James, welcome.
Hi, thanks very much, Craig. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you. James, tell us a little bit, just to kind of get us out of the gate here, about your family, where you grew up, where you live, and maybe one or two things you do when you're not working.
Sure. Yeah, so I live in the inner suburbs of Boston, Arlington specifically. Didn't grow up here, grew up in Long Island, New York, so moved, but not all that far. Next one was family. So yeah, live with my wife, Jess, and then two daughters, one who is 12 and named Stella, and one who is 8, whose name's Beatrix, but she goes by BB.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, what we do
And
for fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
what do you do for fun? I mean, all work and no play is not a good way to live. So
Yeah, well, the kids keep me very busy. There's a
yeah,
lot of kid activities, Girl Scouts. We've got lots of cookies. We're in our living room right now. We're in the midst of delivering.
yeah.
We also like to get out and do a lot of hiking, that sort of thing. Get out in the nature.
Well, having a daughter myself, I can definitely relate to the cookies and the girl activities. We have one, so it keeps us busy. She keeps us busy as your two do. Haven't quite gotten her into hiking yet. That's my next challenge, if you will.
Yeah, ours complain sometimes. But.
Tell us a little bit about your professional background prior to starting your advisory business, James. What did you do?
Sure. So, background as an engineer, then I
Mhm.
went to grad school in a program called Leaders for Global Operations, which is a joint business and engineering program at MIT. Um, Coming out of that, uh, worked in supply chain management for a while, and then kind of transitioned over to what I call like business process improvement, kind of
Mhm.
looking at um, the way an organization functions and where the bottlenecks and hiccups are and how to smooth that out. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
And now you're running robust flow operations. So tell us, if you can, a little bit about how you transitioned into that. Uh, it's the journey to entrepreneurship is almost as interesting as the entrepreneurship itself sometimes. So, what made you start that business, and what can you tell us about it in terms of what service you provide, who your target market is, in terms of the size of the organizations, and specific individuals within those organizations? So, first of all, how did you get into this thing?
Certainly. So I actually got into it through a layoff. Was working for a startup for quite a while, 5 years, and they hit some rough patch and got laid off. Was intending to look for another job, but somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn as soon as I announced it and said, "Hey, I think my current company needs something similar to what you did when we worked together 2 companies ago. Would you be interested in consulting for a few months?" And I thought, no, like I don't want to do that. And I had just started working with a career coach, and she said, "Hey, don't write it off. Why don't you try it and see how you like it?" So I
Mhm.
did that, and then after 3 months there, realized, you know what? Like I provide so much more value per month. I feel like maybe in those 3 months I did 1/4 the number of improvements I did with my last full-time company, but I was at that full-time company for 5 years. So getting the, you know, per hour spent, a lot more value I'm bringing to the host organization. So after that, realized, like I think this is the way I want to proceed. So what I do is help companies scale their labor-intensive data work. And I joke this often means they're getting them off some 15-year-old spreadsheet that they have some critical processes running through. They've
Mhm.
long since outgrown, and they may or may not realize it's holding them back. So helping them figure out operationally, like mapping out exactly what are they trying to get done, how are they doing it now, how might they do it much more efficiently through either some automation or just rearranging the work,
Yep.
better defining it, better training, and then working with the team to get those actually in
Yep.
place, such that work that used to be very difficult and
Mhm.
cumbersome is much easier. Some parts of it are automated, other parts are just
Yeah.
flow like they
Yeah.
should instead of being a Herculean task to haul data around.
I would imagine this is the kind of thing, and if I'm wrong, James, correct me, where a company just gets used to doing things the way that they've been doing and don't really know that there's a better way and they just live with it. Is that
It's
common?
true. Yeah, very often, maybe this was the right approach, when they were a startup.
Mhm.
And at that point, you're just trying to see if the market will buy what you have. So it doesn't make sense to try to get efficient when you're in that mode.
Right.
But yeah, there comes a point when you're no longer um, needing to scramble to get the things done,
Mhm.
and your work is predictable. At that point, it makes sense to put some effort into, okay, how are we going to get producing this output more efficient? And you're right. I find after about 10 years of doing something the same way,
Mhm.
people really block out from their minds that there's any
Yeah.
other possible way to get the work done. They just
Yeah.
start conceiving the way they're doing the work as the way the work has to be. And
Yeah.
usually you look at it with fresh eyes and it doesn't have to be exactly that way.
And I imagine this is the kind of thing that, I mean, you, to have that amount of data problems, you need to be a somewhat reasonably sized company. What types of savings could a typical company, I know there's a range, but are we talking about order of magnitude? Is it tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions? How much can I save with
Yeah.
engaging you?
Um, well, obviously that scales with the size of the operation. We often take over half of the human labor out of any
Mm.
particular process. So you can do the
Oh.
math there. For one client, they shared their financials with me afterwards,
Mhm.
and we moved they went from a 63% margin on their SaaS product to
Mhm.
93 through
Wow.
through that efficiency.
Wow. That's an amazing improvement. I just can't help but think that there's a lot of companies out there that really could be benefiting from what you do. Um, are there specific individuals in these organizations that you tend to find are more receptive to this message? Are they the operations people? Is it the CEO, the CFO? Who
Yeah, I
finds
would
this
say,
interesting?
yeah, usually these teams that have the inefficient labor going into it usually roll up to the COO.
Mm-hmm.
So often have the COO as the client. I would say as a second runner up would be the CFO, who is
Yeah,
obviously responsible for the finances
right.
of the company and has questions like, why do we spend so much effort on such and such?
Yeah, yeah. Wow, it sounds like an amazing offering. If only more people knew about it. Well, maybe they will as a result of our conversation today.
Excellent.
Switching over to Vistage now, James, you just celebrated, if I'm not mistaken, your 1 year anniversary with this Vistage Trusted Advisors Group. You know, most people who know Vistage know it as a program for CEOs and business owners. Can you tell me a little bit about what this group is about?
Right. So our trusted advisors group, it is people who provide services to companies rather than lead companies themselves.
I see. I see. And I would imagine that some of those companies are the size of Vistage companies themselves, right? I mean, lower
Yeah,
middle market size privately held companies.
I would say that's usually the case. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But
And how did you? What led you to join this group? It's a not insignificant investment of time, right? It's a
right.
half day a month. It's a few $100. What led you to join?
It was recommended to me by a friend of mine who is also out of my grad school program.
Mhm.
She also does consulting. She, for a long, I don't know, 15 years or so, she was an independent. She's actually scaled that, so now she has about 12 employees.
Mhm.
But it was her that recommended coming here to get,
Yeah.
that kind of business advice, and being part of a community of people
Mhm.
trying to get their businesses going. And even
Yeah.
if the businesses are slightly different, a lot face the
Yeah.
same struggles and challenges.
And it's my understanding that she has some affiliation with Vistage herself. Is that right?
She's a Vistage speaker. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Uh, in what ways, James, have you benefited from your membership, either directly in terms of working at issue and getting some independent input, or indirectly through relationships you've built or connections you've made? Share
Yeah.
with our viewers what you've gotten out of it.
Yeah. I mean, the number one is steering my offering.
Mhm.
Um, if you get feedback from Vistage peers that you wouldn't get from anyone else, or well, maybe a few other people I know I can get it from, but the only one that meets regularly. I mean, you can talk to 300 people at networking cocktail events, and
Mhm.
none of them has the inclination to tell you what you're doing wrong. They just
Interesting.
smile and say,
Yeah.
okay, fine. You get in that Vistage room and the door closes,
Mhm.
and it's a safe space. So people will tell you, listen, your ideal client profile is not
Mhm.
clear enough to find. Your value proposition needs work. Things that you actually need to work on.
Yeah.
And very few people will actually take the time and the risk to give you advice that
Yeah.
um, that might be hard to hear, but the kind of advice that actually gets you unstuck and gets you moving in the right direction.
Got it. Now, you're the only member of the group who does what you do. There's other members who are doing different things. How is it that they're able to provide useful advice to you if they're not in your business?
Sure. I mean, the exact service is different, but a lot of the things like how do you market your business? How do you pursue leads? How do you follow up on leads? How do you network effectively? Those, I would say everybody in the
Mhm.
business, everyone in the Vistage group
Yeah.
needs to be able to do those things because they are all selling some service or other. Um,
Right.
and yeah, and advice transfers over nicely.
So I think I hear you saying is that the issues and topics that you discuss transcend the individual functional areas, be it sales, be it
Right,
finance, be it
right.
operations, HR, because you all have a lot of the same issues that you're wrestling with running your practice.
That's right. That's right. I mean, somebody brought up an issue recently that was like, what do you do about a client that's just so much trouble? How do you decide if they're worth keeping or not? So even though nobody else does exactly what she does,
Yeah,
it's still a conversation we can have through
and I'll
experience.
learn from. Fantastic. James, what characteristics do you feel someone should possess in order to thrive in the kind of forum that you're in? The characteristics that you see in your fellow members. And by thrive, I mean to get value out of their membership and also fit in with the group.
Yeah, a few things. One is to be open-minded to to the idea that you might need to do things differently.
Mhm.
Because that's the whole thing. If there's no sense asking for advice if you're not the type who's going to follow advice.
Right.
Um, so being open-minded, kind of honest about that idea
Mhm.
of I'm going through this for the first time and I might
Mhm.
not have all the answers.
Mhm.
And then like legitimate, um, a helpful manner, you know, um, be eager to help the other people
Yeah.
in the group. And the trust that they also honestly want to help you in the ways they can.
Yeah. Uh, as we wrap up, some people say, well, I've got people, and even you mentioned you've got some people in your network that you could, ask for ideas. Uh, why would you need to spend time in a Vistage group, all of you, if you've got those people at your disposal?
Um, I mean, it's good to have, more opinions rather than fewer. And then I mean, there is something to the regularity of that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there are people that I might be able to call and ask a question, when they're busy, they're busy, you know.
Right.
Whereas to be able to say like, okay, the first Friday of every month, I'm going to get in a room
Mm-hmm.
with, several other people, and we're going to spend 4 hours, and yeah, they're gonna have the time to listen, and I'm gonna listen to them. So something to that. It's all,
Yeah.
time box coordinated. If
Yeah.
something comes up during the month, it could say, you know what, maybe I'll make this a Vistage issue
Yeah.
at our next meeting. So,
Perfect. Perfect. James, any final thoughts you'd like to leave those watching with, either about your
sure.
business or about Vistage? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I think should definitely consider Vistage, especially if you're starting out in a different venture. It's a great source for meeting people and getting uh, having people kick the tires of what you're putting together. And frankly, that's what you need when you're launching something. So,
Great. James, I want to thank you for your time today and also for your contribution. This concludes episode 3 in my series of conversations with members of Vistage Trusted Advisors Group 1433. I hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us for the next episode, which will feature another member of the group. You'll find links to the other episodes in this series in the show notes below, as well as contact information for both the guest and the host. See you next time.